Hello, everyone. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. You are watching Fridays with Sandy, founder of HBSGuru.com, and we have with us a candidate from Lithuania. She works for NASDAQ, the local stock exchange in the Baltics, and has her undergraduate degree from the Stockholm School of Economics in Riga. Has a 610 GMAT. She's an account manager with NASDAQ, and she is targeting Harvard, Columbia, ISA, ESADE, and London Business School, and maybe even Bocconi in Milan. Well, Sandy, what do you think?
I think what you have going for you is that you come from Lithuania, which is not a frequent supplier of people to business schools. So they would be interested in rounding out the flags they put on the wall with the Lithuanian flag. So that's a plus. The work history is for pretty solid companies. And just quickly, could you tell us the companies you've worked for?
Of course. So for the last 2.5 years, I've been working at NASDAQ. And before that, right after graduation, I was a part of a 2 years project called Wings, which was aimed at Lithuanian students who were studying abroad to attract the talent back to the country and then work in the government sector.
But who was you were trying to attract Lithuanians to come back to Lithuania. Who were you working for, the government?
So I was actually the one who's been attracted to come back, kind of.
Well, it worked first on you, but I'm just curious who. It says during 2-year project Wings at Enterprise Lithuania. What is Enterprise Lithuania?
Yes, so this is a governmental institution which got European funding to support local small and medium enterprises in the region.
Yeah, you got to put that on your resume. Okay.
Okay.
Because people don't know that, and it's impressive. So you've only had 2 jobs, is that it? And then at Wings, Lithuania, you were a customer success manager. That's a great title. And then a business development manager, or was that at Wings?
Yes, so it was 2 years program, and every half a year we did a different company. So that's how I did.
So that was a rotational leadership program?
Yes.
Yeah. Where does that belong?
On the resume, high up.
Yes. Well, high up in explaining what it is. I mean, that people understand that, and it's usually a prestige select program.
And thank you for putting a name to it, because I didn't know that there's a rotational leadership program, such an expression.
Mention it that way.
That's a term of art in the business. You've got a very powerful story. If we took out the statistics, what you got is what you said is you were in the middle of your class of 120. So your GPA is, in the middle of the class. And then you've got this 610 GMAT, which is on the low side for most schools. So the question is how you overcome that. And you've got a lot going for you, given how powerful your story is. I don't think you're getting into HBS. I think there's a couple of people out there with a similar exotic backgrounds and just better stats. John, do you agree with that?
Yeah, it's hard. Harvard would be very hard at a 610. They will take people at 610, but they're usually like star athletes, that kind of thing, or very unusual cases. And I think that's not going to be the case here.
Frequently Harvard will take, 610 and Harvard are frequently underrepresented groups, including minorities, and underrepresented groups who are also U.S. citizens. So they get a check mark with whoever collects those check marks. But I don't think you qualify as an underrepresented group, even though coming from Lithuania, they might give you some goody points in another column. I just don't think it's going to make it. What about Columbia, John?
Columbia likes high GMATs, unfortunately. One way to get around that is to apply in January, for their January start, that is. That's an accelerated MBA. It's a little shorter, but the odds of getting in there are significantly better than the overall.
Emily, are you aware of what he just said? You're aware of the Columbia
Yes.
January program?
Yeah.
I don't think that's for you, because I think you need an internship. But just as a tip for our massive viewership, John makes a good point that if you're trying to camouflage your GMAT scores, the Columbia January program is a good place to think of if you don't need the summer internship.
I think, here's one thought about all this. I think Emily presents well. I think she's charismatic. And I think that an admissions interview would help her candidacy at any of these schools. And the problem,
it will, for one thing, it would negate the English language issue.
Yes.
That's the one thing schools will not swallow. People who cannot function in English.
Yeah. And we know, Emily is fluent in Lithuanian and Russian, and professionally fluent in English. I think your English is superb, incidentally.
Yeah, your English is totally great.
Yeah, I really do think if
It's a
you were
lot
able
better
to
than
get
my
an
Lithuanian.
admissions interview, it would matter to you. And you almost want to say, okay, what are the schools that actually automatically give you an admissions interview?
That's the way I was thinking. And what are they?
Dartmouth Tuck, Duke Fuqua.
Dartmouth
Yes.
and Duke are great choices for you.
Okay.
And UVA Darden.
Yeah, and those are great schools.
If you apply early, you can get an interview. You don't have to wait to get an invitation. And I just think that would be crucial to your candidacy, given the lower GMAT. Luckily, you scored well on the quant. So that should give admissions people's, fairly good confidence that you won't have any trouble with the quant aspects of the core curriculum.
Right.
So they're going to just have.
Those are absolutely great suggestions.
Yeah.
And those are great schools.
John, sorry, John. So it's Dartmouth, Duke, and what is the third school that you suggested?
Yeah, UVA Darden. That's University of Virginia, Darden School of Business, the Dartmouth College Tuck School of Business, and then Duke University's Fuqua School of Business. Those three, I think, would be.
Have you got those, Emily? Have you were able to process that?
I would not apply to Harvard or Columbia. I would apply to those three in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that. That is just
your
great
choices
advice.
of the European schools. I think those are good.
Okay, Emily, what do you want to do after? What job do you want after business?
So I would like to maybe maybe continue my career as a leader, and then become a C-level executive at some company similar to NASDAQ.
I want you to name companies that you would work for after business school. A good job for me after business school would be an associate at McKinsey, because I could use that for 2 years, round out my skills, and after that, I would then go to a startup that involves itself in blah, blah in Central Europe. Can you answer the question that way?
Mm-hmm. So maybe then I would say that if I would have to choose one company, then I would say that I would come back to NASDAQ and be
Okay, nothing personal. Why would you want to go back there?
Well, because if I have to choose a company, I for sure know that I like NASDAQ. So then that's why I would mention it, because this is the only one that I know for sure that it's gonna be good.
You've got to edge. That's a bad answer. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I like what you put down originally, which is consulting. And yes,
Okay.
so many people want to go into consulting, but the truth is, consulting hires a boatload of MBAs. And at UVA Darden, at Duke, and at Dartmouth Tuck, consulting hires a lot.
Yeah, there's nothing to be ashamed of about being a consultant. And you could be a consultant both for, the big firms like, Bain or McKinsey or BCG, or a specialist smaller firm. And that would be a great way to launch your career. Okay, here's a question I ask every week, and very few people are able to answer it. Okay. Name someone whose job you want in 20 years.
Yeah, so that's why maybe I mentioned Nasdaq, because I really like our CEO Sadina's job. I think, I think that would be a nice position actually. But she's
that's
good
a
at
good
it
answer.
too.
Yeah, that's a good answer, but you've got to immerse yourself more in business and occupations and business school and outcomes. You really have to do some homework. You should be able to come up with 3 answers for that besides NASDAQ. Can you do another CEO another person whose job you want? Can you name someone else?
Well, I was only thinking about the local companies which are listed on stock exchange. So some of them, we have a biggest energy company here in Lithuania which got listed. So it's Ignitis. So I would be happy with that position, although it's very local, but it has very high impact on the local market.
Yeah, that's acceptable. It seems that you want to go back to Lithuania. You're not interested in moving. You're just interested in getting educated, right?
Well, I'm interested in moving and interested in experiencing new things. But at the end of everything, I really like Lithuania. And I
Yeah,
think
you've got
they need
family
smart
there
people.
and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's an answer that makes total sense.
It's a good answer too, because I think that there are a lot of consulting firms in Lithuania who see the Baltic states as a very good economic bet in the future. So I think there'd be plenty of consulting jobs there, and your willingness to want to go back and contribute to your home country is a positive.
Yeah, those are good. Okay, for some of our more idiot viewers like me, John or Emily, you can answer this. What are the other Baltic states? People think of Baltic, they think of a child's game called Monopoly, where Baltic was a low rent property. What are the Baltic states and where are they located?
Yes, so they're near the Baltic Sea, and they are from the top,
That doesn't
Estonia.
help me much.
Yeah. So they are in Northern Europe, actually, near the Nordic countries like Sweden and Finland. And it's Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, 3 very small countries that trying to do their best in surviving in this.
You should be able to give a better answer than that. You really have to immerse yourself in this. Aren't they breakaway countries from the Soviet Union?
That's correct.
That's an important thing to say. The Baltic countries are relatively new. Haven't they been around for like only 60, 70 years or something?
Yeah, so they regained independence a bit more than 30 years ago.
Yeah, that's the answer. The Baltic states are breakaway countries from the Soviet Union. They gained independence 30 years ago. If you imagine Russia on a map as a dog with its mouth open, the Baltic states are kind of in its mouth.
Well, yes, that's correct.
This is just a mock interview question, Emily, frequently asked. So for our millions of viewers, the question is, what do you want, like for Harvard? They would say, what do you want your Harvard classmates to know about the Baltics?
Well, first of all, I would like them to know where it is, if
Good.
that's possible. And then I would like to know about its economy, because even though it's a very small country, we do have 2 unicorns. We have financial sector, strong financial and technological sector, and we are doing our best not to be, similarized with Russia. So that's
Similarized, you mean taken over?
yeah, or people still think that we speak Russian, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's
All right.
it's just
That's an acceptable on the spot answer. You need to develop that. It's a question that frequently comes up,
mhm.
and you should have even though I warn people not to sound scripted, this is something that's helpful to script out a little bit.
Mhm.
I hope they know where it is. I hope they know what the countries are. I hope they know about their recent history, that the major products are this and this, that they are quote unquote developing countries. You really should be able to do a shtick from a business school point of view. They might
Okay.
say, where do you see the future of the Baltics? What do you see as happening?
Uh,
Industries are going to take over, and is there political stability?
yeah, so I think all the Baltic people are very much looking to the western part of Europe. That's normal. We always looked at the West, and that's why I think in terms of all the decisions that we make in business and in the governmental sector, it's how to become these strong economies that can support themselves, defend themselves, and survive, even though they're just a small piece of a very big puzzle.
Good. Okay, we can maybe round this off with this question. Give me a roadmap of your career. We've touched on this, but I want to see if you can do it as a coherent answer. Give me a roadmap of your career after business school. After business school, I want to do this. And after X years of that, I want to do this. And my final career goal would be doing this or that. Let's hear you say that.
Okay, so since we are going ahead with the consulting idea, after the business school, I would like to get a placement in a good consulting firm where I could learn, because now I don't have a very much of the background in that particular field. And then,
Hey,
of
John,
course,
is that a good answer?
Don't ever, you're diminishing yourself by
Okay.
saying, you know what I mean?
After business school, I'd like to join a major consulting firm like X or Y. And the reasons I want to do that is to learn general management skills and to possibly network.
And
after
also see a
2
wide
years,
array of management challenges, business challenges.
okay, so now you know what a good answer sounds like. Let's hear it. Hey, give me a roadmap of your career after business school.
After the business school, I would like to join a big consulting firm where I could learn the best practices and get the skills needed to become a part of general management team. And afterwards, I would do my best to. No, it again sounds diminishing a bit, but that's what it.
You're a quick understander. Now let's see if you're a quick internalizer. At least you know you're goofing up, but
well, okay, I will work on my answer, which will I'll try not to sound scripted.
You seem to know that you need to work on that. You have to be able to give a professional but not scripted answer to that question. It's something you should be able to do, and something that will occur in your interview one way or the other. Sometimes they ask it directly. Sometimes they just say, well, what would you do after that? So you've got to be able to have that totally under control.
And Sandy, just in terms of the answer, how then far should I go? Should I just give the idea of the first 5 years and then just drop the final goal?
No, you should have the whole thing. You should go after business school. I'd like to join, a big consulting firm like McKinsey or BCG, where I could learn general management skills, and possibly at McKinsey, I could be assigned to their healthcare practice. And after 2 years at their healthcare practice, what I'd like to do is join an exciting startup healthcare company like A, B, and C. And then my final goal is to be an impactful leader in the healthcare industry, and role models for me are 1, 2, and 3. That's something worth near memorizing.
Thank you very much.
Good. That's an important rap to have down. You've got a lot going for you, particularly
get in front of these schools. Whatever you do, get in front of these schools, show them who you are, make sure they know you. Any opportunity for you to have contact with the admission staff in any of these schools is extremely important given your GMAT score.
Are you aware of these forums these schools have where representatives show up? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I as I understand, you mean the ones that come into the region and then do the kind of.
It's a roadshow.
Yeah, so I was in one of such events.
What was it like?
Well, it was HBS, so it was very nice.
I'm kind of interested. How many people attended and who presented on behalf of HBS and what did they say?
Yeah, so there were 2 people from admissions office and 3 alumni. And in terms of attendees, I think there were no more than 30 people. And it seemed that some of them were not even familiar, we're just getting the advertisement and signing up.
Getting there to get warm and maybe get some free donuts, right? Wow.
And maybe that's how actually HBS ended up on my list, because they came, and it seemed that they want someone from this region.
They were successful. It all worked. Yeah. Good.
Well, maybe you should still apply to Harvard Business School. What the heck? We think it's a long shot, but can't hurt.
It's not a hard application. And the question is one that's useful. The essay question is one that's useful to have under control. It's like the question, I believe it still is, what else do you want us to know about you? So,
yes, that's correct. It's still the same question.
Yeah. So that's a good way for you to tell your story at length. I'd like you to know my story and my background and how certain key events have influenced my decision to go to business school and my goals. That's basically the content. You don't say it that way, but that's a good answer.
So Sandy, what are Emily's odds at Harvard Business School?
I wish they were higher, Emily. I think your chances of getting into Harvard are slim. They're like 20%. I just don't think it's going to happen. They're going to find people who are like you that just have better numbers.
And what about Columbia?
I'm afraid ditto burgers, because Columbia really, they would love you, but they don't want to take the bite of your low stats. John, you have different views on that?
No, I would agree with that. What about my 3 suggestions? Duke, Dartmouth, and UVA Darden.
Apply there, man. Those are great places. Your chances are better. Your chances at those places start creeping up to like 30%. But more importantly, your chances of being interviewed there. Those schools interview everybody, right, John?
Yeah. Well, especially if you apply early. Yeah.
Yeah. Take John's advice, apply early, get interviewed. Once you get in front of these people, they're gonna really think you're better in person than you are on paper. And that is, let me say something, that is not true for everyone.
That's true. That's why it's important for you to make sure admissions people know you at these schools.
So if you can get in front of them in person or even on television like this, that could really make a difference.
Of the schools on your list, I think ESOT A is the easiest school. London Business School, kind of tough as well. IESA, I think that's a good shot for you. And they spend a lot of time with their candidates. They have a great admission staff. They get to know people well. That would serve you very well to make sure you go to Barcelona, meet them in person, and spend some time there. Super important if you want to go to Barcelona.
Yeah. How badly do you want to go to North America, Emily?
Well, I was thinking that, if I get accepted to the top school, then of course that is the plan. But I would still like to stay in Europe. So
Okay.
it's both ways. It's fine for me, and the tuitions are a bit lower here.
That's a good
Yeah.
point.
Well,
Okay.
great. Well, good luck to you, and thank you for joining us today. Work on those essays.
You're a
Make
very
sure you make
powerful,
contact with the
interesting
mission.
candidate, and I think you're gonna be impressive wherever you wind up, and business is the right field for you, and you're gonna be a leading light, and you're gonna wind up, in the government leadership of Lithuania. Mark my words. Whether you want to or not.
You're looking at a future prime minister, right?
Future, yeah, get sucked into it.
All right, Emily, good luck to you. And Sandy, thank you once again. This is John Bear with Poets and Quants. You've been watching Fridays with Sandy.